what. So you don't have to have an elaborate estate plan or an elaborate estate to need estate planning and to have and to have an estate plan. You need to do something though. Is there a difference between setting a personal estate plan to a business estate plan? Yes, and they should work in tandem, Jonathan. So I talked a little bit about having a business succession plan. Your business succession plan should work in tandem with your operating agreement for your business. You got to have some kind of plan for if there's a catastrophe that happens in your business, if you become disabled or unable to run your business or work in or for your business. You need to know if you have a partner, if something happens to either one of you all, whether it be death, disability, or divorce, bankruptcy, anything, you need to know what happens to your business. Your personal estate plan is for you and your assets. Your business is a separate entity unto itself. However, many of your assets, whether it be time or money or whatever, have went into making sure that you have this business. So you do want to have a succession plan. They can work in tandem. So you can address your business and your personal estate planning as well as refer to it. So it does not, they should be two separate things. However, they can also reference each other and work together. Which of those options is best for real estate? Jared, so you asked that about an hour and a half ago. I need to know what you're referring to. So if you would, let me know. Please clarify estate plans and spousal rights. Even if I have one, my spouse can get everything depending on the state. Your spouse can be entitled to part of or everything. So there are certain estate planning laws where, let's say you give your spouse 10% of everything you own. The state can come back and say, no, technically your spouse is entitled to half, or I think in Kentucky, your spouse can take an election against the will. So if they don't like what you gave them in the will, then they can elect to, if it is more, then they can elect to take what the state allows. The state allows, let's say, 1/3 of real property and 1/2 of all personal property. So if you gave them 10%, they can say, nah, that's all right, I don't want that. I'll take what the state said. So you got to know that what you're doing, one, is fair, and then two, that it is within what your state dictates. And so your spouse, especially if it's a community property state where everything that's owned or gathered or gained within the marriage is a part of marital property, then you need to make sure that you are clear in your estate plan that your spouse is supposed to get whatever percentage. So yes, in some states, spouses can elect to take more than what you give them in the will if it's less. And majority of the states will not allow you to write your spouse out of your will. You can sign and agree to a prenuptial agreement or a postnuptial agreement outside of that. Let's just say that you are the one that earned everything and you don't want your spouse to have it, or there's other reasons. Maybe your spouse, it needs to be taken care of, by the state, and their insurance is going to be better than what you can provide or something like that. You can do a postnuptial agreement or a prenuptial agreement as far as your estate plan and your spouse to kind of get around that. Just don't try to do your spouse wrong. That never works out, So a will can suffice. Proper estate planning without a trust, or is having a trust more effective? It really depends on what your goal is. A trust is not for everybody. However, a trust is a really good tool but you got to understand what it is and what you're doing with it and what your reason for having it is. I've seen people that have done stuff like put their house in trust, and then they're like, "Oh crap, I put it in I put it in a irrevocable trust. I can't do anything with it. It's not titled to me anymore." That wasn't what I was trying to do. So you got to know what you're trying to do with the trust. Don't just think that, "Oh, I heard that wealthy people use trust." Like I said, if y'all want, Dr. Watkins, I told them if they wanted a lesson where we go through just on trust, then I'm willing to offer that. I had 2 or 3 people that said that they wanted it. So there are 4. So that may be something going forward. I know every time that I teach estate planning, I get trust questions. But what I was telling them is that really needs to be an hour or 2 long session to really teach them what to expect, especially if they're going to try to execute a trust themselves. But I'm willing to do it. Jonathan says, when my grandmother passed,
Hey, Nichole, let me jump in and say this.